So you've just received an RFP. Maybe it's the first time you're doing it. Potentially you're an experienced bid manager and you want to understand what is the RFP management process, like process, challenges, and how do you win these highly competitive and challenging bids. In this video, I'm going to show you through the exact RFP management process, challenges, share with you some data in relation to winning bid teams and how they win these complex bids that can really elevate your business. Let's jump into it. So why does RFP management matter? An RFP, or request for proposal, is when a large organization, let's say an enterprise with 10,000 staff or federal government body, wants to procure products or services. Where RFP management matters is we surveyed with between AutoRFP.ai and Stargazy over 97 bid professionals in our 2026 proposal win rate report. You can find the link below if you want to have a look yourself of the proposal win rate report. In this report, we found that 51% of teams without content automation sit in the low win cohort. So in our RFP management video today, we're going to go into content automation. We're going to talk about how 94% of high-win teams use joint collaboration with their subject matter experts, not having the subject matter expert drafting. And where this all matters is the median shortlist rate, so the rate of which your RFP makes it to the next stage and isn't disqualified, is 63% for high win teams versus 38% for low win teams. So the teams that have very strong RFP management processes and structure, not only are they winning more, but they're making it through the RFP process to the next step, almost double or triple the rate of other teams with content automation, joint collaboration with SMEs, and a lot of other things. So let's jump into it. But before that, I wanted to leave you with this quote. Most teams lose RFPs because their system is perfectly designed to produce the results they currently achieve. That was in the proposal win rate report from Christina, the founder of the Stargazy community, a bid manager community. And that really stuck with me, is that if you have a poor system for your RFP management and response, you are setting yourself up to fail, which is why RFP management and systems and processes matter a lot more than heroic efforts, one-off bid that you spent hours and hours fine-tuning, but actual process and repeatable ways to win will get you and your business more revenue than just the one-off effort of trying to win a random bid. And finally, 65% of the bid teams that win the most use AI proposal tech, which is what AutoRFP.ai is and where I'm from. So what is RFP management? RFP management is how you organize everything that happens between receiving an RFP and submitting your response. Think about it could be everything from when you first discover an RFP on a public tender notice board. Let's say it was for a public tender notice board, receiving an RFP and submitting your response. It involves people, content, and process. So what is the RFP management process? It starts off with a kickoff meeting. When you see that or you receive that private or public RFP, think about who needs to be involved. Get executive stakeholders on board quickly, especially if it's a very highly competitive and commercial bid. What is the response strategy? How are we going to make our response best fit for the evaluation criteria to win the RFP? Draft and assign who is doing what section, how are we going to complete those sections, and overall, what does a great first draft look like? That is where AI can help the most. Review and submit. Who gets final say on the pricing and commercial? Who gets final say on the legal? Who gets final say privacy, security, and compliance measures? Make sure that's clear from the start and be ready when you have your first draft and everything's ready to be reviewed, that it can be submit cleanly to the right people at the right time. Audit and analyze. Something we don't do often enough in bid management is think about how could we do better with this bid, what feedback can we do, and how can we improve for next time, which leads into that next one, continuous improvement. And that is a difference between a one-off effort and a systematic approach to RFP management and bid response that will get you to win bid after bid versus just that random one bid that you were lucky to get. An effective kickoff meeting does not just rehash to everyone exactly what the RFP is saying. It is about establishing clear deadlines. When we talked about who was going to submit each answer, each section, who's going to draft each section, who's going to review each section, that's where you want to have all those people there to establish clear deadlines for each of those contributors. Then you should already have somewhat of an understanding here, but this is where you can kind of lean on the people in this meeting to develop win themes. A win theme is what is your clear competitive advantage or way that you are going to structure your response with persuasive writing, with clear customer stories that will get you the win in this RFP. For instance, it could be an enterprise that cares a lot about security and privacy, and it could be based in the EU, is looking for a vendor who meets certain requirements. And you could be the only vendor, and you may know that you're the only vendor who meets high-level requirements in relation to security and privacy, and you believe that's a competitive advantage for your company and for this bid. Overall, make sure that you plan all your supporting documents, so everything that the final submission should include, and you can use like an RFP checklist. We've got a pre-submission checklist in the links below, but you can use a pre-submission checklist to make sure, again, all of that is taken care of when you go to submit. And then assign a single project owner who drives accountability. This would often be a bid manager or at least or a project manager, someone who is keeping an eye on all the deadlines. Clarification questions is an often overlooked part of the RFP process that can really help you understand that buyer and should be used every time. What you don't want to be doing is submitting a question for the sake of submitting a question. Don't ask something that is very clear in the RFP that could reflect negatively, but do think of some useful questions that you can submit back to the buyer that will help understand their current solution better and what they're currently doing. Map requirements to identify capabilities. You could look at, for instance, there could be Moscow ratings, there could be mandatory, nice to have, must have, and so on. But each of those requirements, you can compare to evaluation criteria, and you can look at where do you stack up. But every single one of those requirements, where do you stack up just at a first glance? Even better is that step is in your AI go, no go, or your go, no go process. So before you even start to bid on and start contributing resources, you've already seen if you're actually a good fit for this bid before jumping head first. Build a response plan with section owners, deadlines, and review cycles. We discussed that just before. And decide your competitive angle before writing a single word. Now, drafting response and assigning owners. So this is where we actually start to write. So each of the reviewers and writers, they begin to work, use real-time collaboration so multiple people can work simultaneously. You never want to have a bid that only one person can access at a time. That's not very conducive to strong teamwork. Pull from your content library for common questions instead of writing from scratch. So at the start of the video, I mentioned how a strong content library often underpins a winning bid team. And here is the time that you can use that. So if you have pre-filled answers or approved answers in regulatory environments that you can pull from readily to answer common requirements, then this is where you use that. Make sure though you're not just mindlessly copy and pasting. Make sure that where appropriate, you're weaving in that win theme throughout the RFP and bid response. AI tools, and this is where a company like and product like ours, AutoRFP.ai really shines, is generating that first draft. AutoRFP will demonstrate a first draft in a matter of seconds from a blank RFP document, and it'll leverage your content library for that, really speeding up the RFP response time, increasing participation rate, and giving you more time to write even stronger and better responses. So it goes into kind of like an AI feedback loop to continuously improve your responses. That can be one part tooling, and tooling can be one part of your RFP management process and response process that can really underpin a winning strategy. Some larger bids and structured processing involve a different colored reviews where it goes through multiple and sequential reviews of different sections for relevant people. One trap around reviewing is making sure that the value of the bid and that win theme isn't lost through people's opinion. If you have 10 different people review a section, you're going to have 10 lots of different feedback, and potentially some of them are contradictory or some of them are the same. But you want to make sure that, of course, you're applying feedback if they're experts in that space, but you as the editor or project owner of that section should ensure that the win theme and what makes that a winning bid isn't lost. That's the review trap. And finally, just before you go to that final review, run your pre-submission checklist, spelling, grammar, compliance, consistency, and so on. And again, in the description below, we've got our pre-submission checklist that you can download for free, and that can be part of your winning process. Finally, we've now submitted that RFP. So some kind of top level metrics that you should track is your stages the bid goes through. How many do you not bid for because it wasn't a good fit? That's a good thing to measure. Make sure there's endless opportunities, but you want to bid what actually makes sense. The ones that you bid for, what were the outcomes of those the ones that you bid for, what are the outcomes for those bids? Was it won? Was it lost? Did you withdraw? Did you stop the bid because of resourcing issues and never submitted it? Next level, once you have that data in terms of the status of your bid, is what were the size of the bids and what was the cost of the bid? That's a really tricky thing to measure. There's some great resources out there around cost of bid, but effectively you want to make sure that these bids are profitable. So if there's a 10% chance on a $10 million bid, but it costs 200 grand to bid, that's a really tough one to make. And then also make sure that you want to make sure in a good system or a good AI RFP software like AutoRFP or other software out there in the RFP software market should automatically be using your responses that you're working on and add them into your library and intelligently store that and categorize that content so it can be used for next time. That's where it's really important to consistently write better and better, and your content library kind of builds over time and your systems are set up to produce better results as your company makes bid management and RFP response and the RFP management process a competitive advantage of the company. Then finally, continuous improvement. So it's really not out there to ask for feedback, whether that's a private enterprise bid or if it's government bid. Often this may even be posted publicly, but you want to make sure you get feedback on the bid. And not just on the bids that you win, but the bids that you lose are sometimes more important. You may unearth that you shouldn't have bid on that in the first place, that it wasn't a good fit from the start. You may realize that a flaw in your RFP management process and where something needs to be sharpened up for next time. And continuous improvement in your RFP management process, implementing that will just kind of make it better and better every time. And that's what really helps companies go from winning the occasional RFP worth $1 million to consistently winning $1 million RFPs and substantially growing the business's footprint in the enterprise. So what are some of the common RFP management challenges? Outdated systems and bottlenecks. Thinking about that process is where's the most amount of friction. That could be following up people to review. So you're always having to message them and be like, hey, can you review your section? This was due yesterday. It could be that your content lives in 10 different systems. You can never find the right answer. It could be technical docs. It could be a SharePoint. It could be Google Drive or whatever. And then content library paralysis. So if 40% of saved references may reference outdated information, nobody has a full day to update them. Now, here's some best practices to help you win RFPs consistently and land those $1 million contracts. Automate the repetitive work. AI has come so far and can help out in particular places of the RFP management process, whether it be automating the repetitive work of a first draft and finding the relevant information out of your content library. AI is incredibly strong in that. AutoRFP.ai customers consistently get 80% plus AI first draft rate off their existing content. And you want to make sure that standardized templates, centralize everything so it's easy to find the right and source the right information. cross-functional collaboration, multiple people can edit it once. Reviewers, it's easy for someone to review. It's an easy-to-use system. You don't want some clunky software that they have to log in and an SME can never use it, and therefore they hate having to help you on an RFP. And track performance metrics automatically. Every time you are moving through your CRM or your relevant software, these opportunities, that the bid software is also updating, or at least your bid process data is there. Automating routing questions to the right SME, so you don't have to think about who should this go to. Real-time progress tracking, so nothing falls through the cracks, and automatic importing of different documents to get a really high level of AI first draft, and trust scores telling you which answers need human review. So the AI is doing a lot of heavy lifting. And that's kind of what AI RFP management looks like. Is the AI is taking care of that manual work, and the human is coming in to ensure that the win themes are strong, that the pricing is competitive, and that the evaluation criteria is met, and they're going to win that bid. All right. What I wanted to leave you with today was a live demo of just the project management capabilities with an auto RFP and how that can help your RFP management process. So looking in here, we have an RFP project. You can see here that already 45 of my responses have been submitted and reviewed. 9 have been submitted but not reviewed, and there's still 14 left drafted. So I can quickly click into my drafted, see what ones are left need to be edited, and then I can look after those as needed. So I can click into my 14 draft and see, okay, we're still waiting for someone here to submit those, and I can go and submit and make changes. So it's very easy, kind of that multiplayer capability, seeing where everything's at. I can go to my project overview and see that the project is due in 5 days. This is everyone who worked on that project when it's due. My first draft was highly AI automated, 97.1% draft. And overall, we have 62% exceed compliance, 35% fully compliant, and I can quickly see what response is partially compliant and understand why that's partially compliant and kind of review that. Just having one look and a couple of clicks, I can see against the evaluation criteria what responses need to be improved or where we're potentially weak on this competitive bid before having to really do a lot of work. I can see project attachments and everything else going into this bid. And so that's what a project overview dashboard for a competitive bid looks like. If you wanted to have a look at Auto RFP and give it a try, you can go to our website, autorfp.ai. Here, you can have a look and learn more about our product and everything else that kind of goes into it and what kind of automation rates our customers are achieving with Auto RFP. And you can also book a demo to spend time with our team. And in this demo, they'll provide a really guided walkthrough of the platform, help understand your business, and see really if it's a good fit or not. Thanks, I'm Rob from autorfp.ai. Hopefully that was helpful in relation to your RFP management process. See ya.